Hi, I'm a writer and editor, and in this video, I will explain why Heated Rivalry's first two episodes were some of the best erotic fiction I have ever seen. But also what went wrong afterwards that kept its story and characters from reaching their full potential. Plus, I will suggest some easy storytelling fixes that would have made the show not only as hot as it was, but more thematically meaningful, more emotionally cathartic, and truer to the characters it had set up at the same time. But before I do that, a disclaimer. This is exclusively an analysis of the writing of the show. I will not look at it in terms of it being an adaptation, and so in my critique and suggestions, I will not draw into consideration stuff like things that were in the book, or the feelings of the author, or expectations the fans of the novel might have had. I would just look at what is there, what the script set out to do, and examine if it succeeded in that purely in terms of storytelling 101. You're in for that? Sweet. So grab your ginger ale and put on your suspensors and let's dive in. I think you can already tell that I have a lot of thoughts on the show overall, but credit where credit is due. While I do think that episodes 4 to 6 mainly live on the flashy editing, lush sets, and let's be honest, the chemistry of the leads, in my opinion, these first two episodes could be shot on the dingy, barely lit stage of a community theater and be acted by your 42-year-old Uncle Herbert and his balding IRS agent Bob and still be gripping and emotionally effective. I rarely say this, but the writing is perfect. If there will ever be a course on Erotic Writing 101, these episodes need to be part of the curriculum. I want papers on this, especially on how they use their intimate scenes to tell their story. Writing-wise, oof, they're all great. Every single one of them. Why? So, to understand what makes for a good scene, it is imperative to understand what makes for a good scene. Period. In his Creative Writing 101, writer Kurt Vonnegut suggests that every sentence should do at least one of two things: reveal character or advance the action. But I would go even further and say, although it is hard enough to accomplish one thing at a time competently, the best sentences, the best scenes do both. It is the difference between a single note and a chord. The more registers you employ simultaneously, the fuller the sound, and the fuller the sound, the more stimulated and captivated is the audience. And I think this is what makes Heated Rivalry in its first two episodes nearly perfect, because its intimate scenes across the board hit multiple notes at the same time. So there is one thing that makes writing and talking about writing so difficult. A good story is an orchestral piece. A million things happen at the same moment. In this video, I want to focus on two registers, two elements: plot and story. And if it has been a while, this is plot. The plans to destroy an evil empire's most powerful weapon falls into the hands of a nobody who joins the rebellion and helps to blow up said weapon with the support of his friends and magical powers he unlocks. A young orphan who longs to leave his dire circumstances is swept into a conflict with a dark evil figure that forces him to come to terms with who he is and who he wants to be. This is story. Let us first look at how Heated Rivalry in its intimate scenes reveals plot. In a romance, plot typically revolves around the question, will they, won't they? And to keep it interesting, you want the audience to constantly guess. So you will generally have scenes in which it seems like they will, but also some in which it looks as though they won't. But this cannot happen at a whim or chaotically. What we have learned from story structure is that you want to build up tension to grab the audience and raise the stakes gradually, escalate bit by bit. That is why it is better to have several scenes in which closeness intensifies and then several in which bit by bit problems grow. Not one, then the other, then one, then the other. Also, to give a scene weight, it must create a fundamental change in the story and the characters. Something happens that cannot be taken back. A good story feels like a ball that keeps on rolling that cannot be stopped. So you would want some type of reversal, a change in power, a change in status. That is what keeps the audience interested and what happens next. Let me show you how Heated Rivalry sex scenes in episode 1 and 2 accomplish all of this to a T. So in the first 2 installments, we have 6-ish intimate encounters. 4 of them contain. And if you just look at the progression from they would never to they will, from distance to closeness, you can see the pattern I mentioned. We go from increasing closeness in episode 1 to a small hiccup at the end, a high point of closeness at the beginning of episode 2 to a phase of growing distance in its middle and the last third. So yes, longer sequences that go into the same direction, but also reversals, change. Now, let's find out how escalation and reversals are accomplished in each scene. So, this show does not lose any time. 13 minutes in, we get our first intimate encounter. A masterclass in escalation, but also mini reversals.
Fuck off.
Ilya begins to jerk off teasingly. Shane watches. But then,
Not here.
a mini dip. But this ball rolls already. Ilya invites himself to Shane's hotel room. Shane opens the door. They make out. They give each other BJs. Ilya swallows.
You didn't have to. I don't mind.
But not so fast. When Ilya talks about his previous physical encounters with men, he mentions his coach's son, with whom he had nothing serious. The guy only made Ilya curious, and Shane makes Ilya curious as well, thus firmly putting Shane into the not serious category as for now. And there's still a lot of
Fuck you, Rozanow.
and Ilya leaves immediately. They say goodnight and off he goes. Next. No talking, they head straight to the bed. But Ilya brings up the idea of a potentially more intimate activity than the BJs they gave each other up to this point, if you catch my drift. However, mini dip. Shane freaks out. Oh no, has Ilya gone too far? Has he killed the mood so much so that they will not be making out this time at all? No, they do. And Ilya even proposes to meet in 2 weeks and exchange numbers, which means escalation. But not too much. Ilya still insists.
It's just a plan to fuck.
The plans fall through though. But this went way too smoothly. Time for a change in direction. Some months later, Ilya has lost the Rookie of the Year award to Shane and is sulking at the rooftop, which makes Shane mad.
All you do is beat me. I win one stupid fucking thing. You couldn't even show your face down there.
He tries to bring up making out either way, but Ilya is a fortress. When Shane, getting nothing, wants to leave, he reverts back to the handshake they had in their first encounter. But Ilya does make a move eventually, but only to taunt Shane.
What the fuck are you doing? We're both in tuxedos out in public.
They just do not come together and part ways, not even having a proper goodbye this time.
See you next season. Hollander.
Episode 2. Line goes up again. After months of Shane rejecting Ilya's advances, they do meet. Ooh, at Shane's place. The rivalry is alive and well.
Come here.
No, you come here.
No, you come here.
No, you come here.
But we get an escalation of closeness. they do try the more intimate activity they talked about. Wink, wink. We have a new nickname.
Holy shit, Rose.
Cuddles and kisses after sex, and they also part with a sweet little smooch. But don't get used to that. In Sochi, Ilya loses and the pressure from his dad makes him nasty. He rejects Shane's attempts to bond completely.
We are not anything. Go away, Hollander.
Just look at how great this shot telegraphs their growing distance. There will be a similar one in a minute. When we see Shane witness Ilya's winning later on, he does look happy for his man, but you can see the longing and frustration about their situation at the moment seeping in. Well done. Come the most interesting scene to date. It is so interesting and layered, indeed, that it kind of breaks the closometer, and that what a marker of closeness could be could also be the opposite. But more on that later on. Let's just look at it in terms of plot. At another award show, they meet again, and it becomes clear that Ilya has been ghosting Shane in the past 6 months.
So,
What? What the fuck do you want, Rozanow? You haven't answered a text from me in like 6 months. You won't even acknowledge I exist unless there's a fucking camera pointed at us, and then it's for some fucking clown show.
I want you to my.
Oh, fuck you. You are unbelievable. You my.
When Shane confronts him, Ilya falls back into a pattern of behavior we saw at the end of episode 1. The first sign for why their relationship might not be smooth sailing.
Maybe as nicely.
Ignoring the rivalry and homophobia stuff, this is a call from inside the house.
Please.
First, he asks Shane to beg for them getting intimate on the spot, only to...
What?
And then when they finally are at Ilya's hotel room, he does introduce a new way of being intimate, one that is built on trust.
Now get on the bed. Touch yourself. What?
And they do make out in the end, but still there is nothing left of this and this. Just look at this shot and listen to the music.
I need. What? You know. Tell me. You?
Something has shifted. And when the deed is done, Ilya lets all of Shane's attempts to connect die in awkward silence.
The rush this year was something else. It's intense there.
No cuddling, no eye contact when Shane says goodbye.
Goodbye, Hollander.
And at the way down, it hits Shane. So great. Escalation after escalation, and even if they grow more distant, it becomes more complicated, which raises the stakes. I love it. Now let's look at the story side of things. As I've indicated early in the definition of story, one feature that is essential for it to work is conflict. It is through the constant attacks of the antagonists that the protagonist grows and reaches their full potential, but also shows who they truly are.
Now, fulfill your destiny.
And what they're capable of.
Never.
And one of the reasons I think Heated Rivalry is able to create and hold so much tension in its first 2 episodes comes down to the fact that the conflict is set up pretty well. It's not awfully much, but there is enough to keep the ball rolling in these 90 minutes. First, the antagonism between the 2 main leads. As I mentioned in my video on how to create romantic tension, it is helpful to have 2 lovers that are bound to clash character-wise. And Ilya and Shane accomplish this perfectly. With Ilya being cocky, brash, and snarky,
Okay.
and Shane being shy, easily flustered, conscientious, and desperate to please everyone. which creates a nice push and pull in every scene they're in between them.
Mr. Businessman. Mr. Landlord.
You asked.
No, I didn't. Oh my god, Hollander, you were so boring.
But there's also an antagonism beyond the couple that helps to put pressure on the two of them and forces them to reveal themselves to us. And on top, in several instances, the non-romantic antagonism will also complicate the romance, which is exactly what you want. For Ilya, this is his overly critical father and a brother who's pressuring him for money.
Ты проиграл
Latvia.
Латвии. И он еще пьет. Как ты допустил до этого? Тебе не стыдно?
Мне стыдно, отец.
Но не настолько. Ты можешь мне еще денежку кинуть?
Пожалуйста.
У меня больше нет денег, Алексей. Мой бонус закончился, братан. Ты почти весь его вынюхал.
Ой, ути-чути. Унылый ты педик, Илюшка.
And for Shane, it is his status as the first biracial player of his caliber.
Et que penses-tu en comparaison à Tiger Woods et Serena Williams? Penses-tu partager les mêmes défis qu'eux, si on se comprend?
He has to be perfect for the audience, his sponsors, and his parents.
A whole lot of kids are going to be looking up to you. Kids that don't see themselves here a lot.
Let's take a look now at how Heated Rivalry uses its intimate scenes to reveal its characters. So there are a lot more scenes that paint a picture of the relationship, just as Vonnegut wanted it. But we're here to focus on the smut. So, their first hookup. It is laden with moments that show their personality and character.
I like trouble.
Like, brazen and self-assured Ilya is calling all the shots.
Okay.
Come here.
Makes all the moves, and anxious Shane mainly reacts.
This is such a bad idea.
Being such a newbie, he does not even know what clothes to wear for a booty call.
Was that bad?
Perfect and neat.
Not bad for first time.
In a good intimate scene, you should be able to gauge the differences in personality of the lovers without dialogue, by the way they move, the decisions they make. And in this one, you can. It's pretty good. Not an intimate scene, but can I gush about the fact that when Shane is too late for a meeting with his parents because he was caught up watching interviews with Ilya, he says that he lost track of time watching YouTube videos about unlikely animals becoming friends.
Like a tiger and a bear, a cow and a duck. Come on. Yeah, a snake and a baby.
Which does not only reveal how he sees his and Ilya's relationship, two individuals, two different species bound by chance, a love that defies the laws of nature, but also brings up an important dramatic question. Could this illicit affair end up keeping Shane from being perfect for everyone? Will it destroy the facade? Great writing, y'all. Admittedly, the next scene is more of what we already know. Shane is scared.
I'm standing in the hallway like an idiot. Scott Hunter is right next door.
Ilya tells him what to do.
Get them guys.
But when the suggestion arises to relocate their hookups from anonymous hotel rooms to each other's homes, we glimpse something new.
Okay. So next time.
For Ilya, this means nothing.
Next time.
Shane, however, pauses.
Where would we want?
Me?
You were homeless.
Might this become too intimate for him? Yet, people pleaser and kinda already head over heels Shane does not protest.
You have fun. Give.
In their next encounter, we get our answer. It is Shane who presses for more emotional connection.
I win one stupid fucking thing. You couldn't even show your face down there.
He wants them to be friends, be supportive beyond the bed. And when he's not able to get this, he leaves. There is a moment of temptation, but at this point, if the relationship interferes with his public image and goals, he chooses the latter.
What the fuck are you doing?
See you next season.
Plus, we get a sneak peek of Ilya's problems that will come into focus in the next episode. A foreshadowing that there might be a darkness lurking under his sympathetic asshole persona.
Not everything is about you, Hollander.
But first, a small respite from the conflict.
Come here.
No, you come here.
No, you come here.
A glimpse into how it could be if they would not carry that much baggage. Although the hints are there of what is about to happen.
I should go.
Ilya's non-romantic antagonism coming into full swing, forcing him to face who he is and who he wants to be, and thus Shane as well. So we have from the beginning been presented with a strange disconnect between Ilya's behavior when he is with others and Shane, and who he is with his family.
Всегда ищешь кого-то виноватым с самого детства.
20 тысяч баксов?
Да, 20 тысяч баксов.
Для чего на этот раз?
Чтоб трахнуть тебя.
Это, блядь, в последний раз.
Я все всегда какие-то тупые отговорки, Илья.
He is afraid. He's passive. He does not dare to speak up. In the last leg of the second episode, this flaw, this conflict will finally bleed into his relationship with Shane, making it more complicated until it almost bursts at the seams. There were hints that toying with Shane and his feelings was an outlet for Ilya when he was moody and frustrated with himself.
Not everything is about you, Hollander.
12 seconds later.
But now, after having lost at the Olympics in his home country and being put down by his family again,
Latvia.
he doubles down until it escalates. In Sochi, he rejects a Shane that only wants to support him emotionally, point blank.
We are not anything.
And then when they meet again, his playbook becomes apparent. In the way he demeans Shane,
Maybe yes, nicely.
keeps him at an arm's length, pulls him closer only to push him away.
I need to sleep.
The more he can control Shane, the more he can bring him to do things Shane does not necessarily want himself, the more the shame about his own passivity, his own submission towards his family will go away. But it doesn't. There is nothing left of this. It is about dominion now, about orchestrating intimacy, forcing and withholding intimacy to cope. And the question arises, will he be able to overcome this flaw? Open up to Shane to have their love ripen and bloom, or will he stick to it? Stay who he is and keep bowing to his family and ruin everything they were and could have been. And as to Shane, he was partaking in all of this, happily at times. It was only when it was over that it hits him. That when before he got nothing, he stood up for himself and left. But now he didn't. That when before it was about hooking up and fun, it is about dominance now. Power and pain. And he has to ask himself, what is he willing to give up of himself for these kernels of love he gets from Ilya? How much is he ready to beg, to demean himself for a man who is emotionally stunted and uses him to self-regulate? Is there truly a connection between them, or is it the secret that binds them together? Can this be a true relationship, love even, or is it shame that keeps Shane with him? Shame and the need to have at least some other person that knows who you really are, even if it hurts you more than it gives you. Yeah, great stuff. And presented so slick, elegantly, well-paced and on point. It's magnificent. As to the rest of the show, let's see how Heated Rivalry handles this conflict and character flaws it set up so expertly beyond episode 2. So first we get a lengthy montage that spans almost 2 years, and it seems as if they overcame the last encounter kind of unscathed. No conflict beyond bickering. They hook up regularly. However, we see Ilya losing 2 times in a row. Will this affect his behavior when they finally meet up at his place this time? Remember, we have seen thrice how this makes him treat his lover like shit and endanger their relationship.
You think we need to talk?
No, after.
Okay, Ilya again calling all of the shots.
I should go.
you could stay.
Oh. Okay.
Stay.
Well, maybe this is part of his come here, no go away spiel?
You want to make me a tuna melt?
Oh, this guy is good.
You know this guy, Ryan Price?
Yeah, from playing against him and not wanting to fight him. You did a season with him, right?
He's not what you would think.
How so?
Like, he's quiet, doesn't talk, keeps to himself. Not bad guy, doesn't make friends.
Wow, yes. Luring him into safety only to then attack.
What's your favorite city to play in on the road?
I like New York, because it's New York.
I like Ottawa, because it's my hometown. Toronto, Winnipeg, I'm happy they have a team again.
Okay, guys, this is boring. What happened to this?
Show up for me, I want to watch you.
You what?
It's my special day, Hollander, I want to watch.
Well, I like the hot places too. Hot like weather hot.
Ah, okay. LA is hot. Hot women.
Yeah, sure, I mean, there are hot women everywhere.
Oh, now we're talking.
Здравствуй, папа.
Great, it's Dad. And he talks with his brother?
Где ты? Попади, он психует.
Yes! This will remind him of all the problems with his family, and he will get overwhelmed, and he will show his problematic behavior again, and Shane will go with it or not, and then they will fight, and it's gonna be exciting. Wait, what?
Fuck, Shane.
Ilya. I can't do this.
What? Yes. Heated Rivalry decided for its second act to completely abandon the central romantic conflict it had set up. That theme, that dynamic, that emotional intensity?
I need you.
And what can I say? This is as if after the gremlins had hatched and begin to destroy Kingston Falls, Gizmo, Billy Peltzer, and Phoebe Cates would suddenly find a map to the Holy Grail and leave town to fight Nazis in the desert. I mean, it's a choice, but it's such a unfortunate one in so many ways. But my main problems with this decision are that, one, it kills every bit of momentum the show had built up in episode 1 and 2. And secondly, it completely defangs Ilya as a character. I hate it! Now, let's examine this more closely. Because you could say, girl, shut up. We don't need this conflict. We have plenty of other conflicts in the last 3 episodes, and you would be right. Yeah, let's see what we got instead. So Shane is, as it seems, freaked out by them, calling each other by their first name. Okay. Next scene, we get the implication that Shane's sponsors might only have chosen him as their ambassador to get brownie points for being inclusive. Well, that is a thing that exists. Oh, and his parents want him to hook up with a princess at Wimbledon. But then, homebody Shane leaves the house for whatever reason and ends up in a relationship with a woman, actress Rose, which makes Ilya jealous. So much so that when they run into each other in a club, Ilya grinds a random woman to get back at Shane. Next episode, Ilya is still jealous, but Rose smells a rat and Shane confesses that he's secretly gay.
I kind of prefer being the hole rather than the peg.
She's super fine with it. They're best friends now. Shane confesses that for him, Ilya's more than a hookup. Ilya insists that they can never be more than clandestine fuck buddies.
Because Russia!
Then cries about his dying father in Shane's arms. Ilya's dad dies. At the funeral in Russia, he finally tells his brother to stop pestering him for money. Then, oh no, Shane gets injured. No, he's fine. He asks Ilya to stay at his cottage over the summer, but Ilya's too afraid.
Because Russia!
But then, a professional hockey player we will not discuss suddenly comes out as gay publicly. So...
I'm coming to the cottage.
But oh no... It's fine. Oh, and then the season ends. Well, I don't know if it has already come across from my summary what problem number 1 with Heated Rivalry's approach towards conflict is, but let's have a neat little graph, shall we? This is what you want as a story for it to be coherent and gripping. And this is what Heated Rivalry does, which makes these episodes drag. Because, of course, since we have to introduce a new problem every 20 minutes, this feels like an endless string of first acts. Especially because the moment the problem is introduced, within 10 minutes, it is dealt with. Like, Rose is a source of conflict for not even a whole episode.
20 minutes later.
So, you and her are not...
We're not.
Why? But the biggest problem for me with these side quests is that they're all so random, so run-of-the-mill, and so milquetoast, they end up dragging down Ilya as a character. The conflict is there to force the protagonist to either become a better version of themselves by attacking the flaw, or to reveal the strength they had in themselves the whole time.
Fulfill your destiny.
Never.
So, I have a number of reasons why I'm not fond of jealousy as a source of conflict in a romance. One is strictly personal. Like, I appreciate if my crush or my partner does not tell me who to talk to and hang out with in real life. And even in fiction, I don't find it appealing or endearing in any way. And I know it is typically only used for the more closed-off character to realize that and admit to themselves that they're in love. The thing is, though, unless jealousy is the flaw that the protagonist has to overcome to become who they're meant to be, a jealousy storyline tells you nothing about the character. It is totally inconsequential. Ilya being jealous of Rose reveals nothing about him. It has nothing to do with what holds him back and makes him who he is or what he has to overcome. I mean, Shane gets jealous as well.
Don't mash Alana.
It's not even a trait that is specific to Ilya, which drives me nuts because they had a perfectly fine conflict for him that one is specific to him.
Maybe as nicely.
No one else needs to assert power over their lover because they feel powerless towards their own family. And two, it can be seen as a flaw that could risk the relationship they build up.
Give me some vodka at least.
No. Vodka is for after as your reward.
It is the one character thing that does not come from outside that could destroy their love, that could drag the needle to they won't. And above all, this pattern of behavior was tied to another central conflict of Ilya's, his inability to stand up for himself in front of his dad and his brother. And yes, this conflict does get an ending. He does put his brother in his place, so kudos for that. But it's all completely unrelated to Shane. It is not that it was his love for Shane that gave him the courage to break out of his passivity. He would have done it either way. At the end of the day, none of these mini conflicts connect in any way. Rose and Shane get together, but Ilya and Shane do not even break up because of her. And she does not help Shane to finally find the courage to confess his love for Ilya, nor does his love for Ilya make him decide to come out to his parents. No. they're just caught red-handed because
I left my charger at your place, and it's the old one that fits into my phone, and all the other chargers we have are newer, so...
It's okay, Dad.
Because of course, why allow your protagonist to decide to finally overcome his demons because he's grown when you can employ coincidence in your big climactic moment and thus give him no choice at all? And even Ilya coming to the cottage and doing the next step was due to some random dude we're not gonna talk about coming out publicly. This feels like a variety show, a collection of short stories or vignettes, not an epic, compact story with love at the heart. If I'm being honest, that is the reason that I wanted to make this video. I think Ilya has been done dirty. And that makes me irrationally angry. I liked him so much in episode 1 and 2. I mean, Connor Story played him so well. And he is not the most original character, but for a cocky son of a bitch with a deep wound and a heart of gold, he was well done. The right mix of dangerous and endearing.
I would not leave you like that.
A perfect dark romantic hero ready to be saved by the power of love. I can understand the appeal of an unproblematic king, but by taking away this flaw, this inner conflict, basically, what is left of him? First, if he's not allowed to overcome his inner demon or choose love and light over darkness and self-destruction, when is his big triumphant moment to shine? I'll tell you.
Never.
Plus, he has lost all edge and individuality. In episodes 4 to 6, he's either a toothless domestic golden retriever.
Stay.
You think she's the only woman in Boston who'd sleep with you?
I think I will find someone else. But you know me. I'm lazy, so...
I don't know that side of you at all.
A petty, annoying man-child? Or a sad boy that needs his lover to make all the decisions for him?
I love you.
Oh, or the butt of the joke.
Lovers.
No, Ilya, that's gross.
Yeah, what does he even do? He becomes completely passive. Other than out of nowhere telling his brother to go F himself, what does he do? He does not overcome his jealousy out of love.
So, you and her are not...
We're not.
He does not risk his career by going to the cottage out of love. And nothing is his idea.
You played for Ottawa. I played for Montreal. Okay, we're only 2 hours apart, and we started a charity.
He just goes along.
You play in Ottawa?
Yes. We would be closer and with the charity.
And the thing is, by taking away Ilya's grid, his darkness, and his agency, the story also took away any depth and character growth from Shane. There is a reason why in storytelling you're supposed to zero in on one conflict and build it until it hurts. If one element gets lame...
Good. Now get on the bed.
What the fuck was that?
it lamifies everything else.
But you like women, right?
But I can bore you with a theory all day long. How about I show you that these old white men did not only talk out of their asses, but that sticking to their rules does indeed make a story better and characters into heroes. So the idea of this rewrite is to leave episodes 1 and 2 the way they are and build on the conflict that was revealed in the last scene of episode 2. There's not even much we would need to change. We can have all the plot points, all the scenes and sets with only minor changes to the dialogue. So Shane meets Rose, they try to be in a relationship. Shane tells her he's gay. They stay friends. Ilya behaves like a dumbass because he's jealous. His dad dies. Ilya stands up to his abusive brother, declares his love to Shane via telephone in Russian. They meet at the cottage. They're being found out by Shane's parents. Shane comes out to them.
I'm gay.
Ilya finally declares his love for Shane in English in front of the in-laws.
He's visiting and we're,
Lovers.
no, Ilya, that's gross.
They ride into the sunset, ready to face the future together as a couple. The end. Well, one scene would need to go though. Ugh, well, that felt good. And I just realized that the major plot point of Shane inviting Ilya to his cottage to play house like a real couple was also initiated not by character growth, but again by another external random ass event. He hit his head and was on drugs. Well, fuck me. This also has to go. Because we don't need it. Just like we don't need random ass people that have nothing to do with the story at hand to drive the plot forward for us.
I'm coming to the cottage.
Because we have the magic power of conflict and story structure. And what would she tell us to do? Escalate. Intensify the conflict. So at the space where Tuna Melt was, we will have a scene that is like the scene before, but worse. All of Ilya's ugly, love-destroying traits dialed up to 11. Dialed up high enough so that Shane finally feels bad about it. So just like in the original, we start out with a montage. But our montage is going to do two things. Remind us of Ilya's flaw and Shane's struggle. So we will show Ilya getting pressure from home again, his anger and how he copes with it. By sexting Shane. But Shane is wary. He knew that the last meeting crossed a line, so he ignores him. Ilya then has to get his feelings of inadequacy fixed somewhere else. He hooks up with some ladies. The press gets wind of it, and Shane sees the coverage. This headline in particular. It's important, you will find out why later on, but he has to know what I love you means in Russian. And I would want him to see it in a situation like this. Man, I felt for him. What better image to represent the lie he lives, his isolation as a closeted man. Then they meet again. It is a public space because Shane now avoids Ilya like an award show. And as to their mental state, Ilya needs to be already triggered. He needs Shane to want him desperately. To be ready to do whatever Ilya wants him to do. And we want Shane vulnerable. Isolated. No one there who knows who he really is. Except for this charming asshole. But Shane is evasive. They go somewhere private, but Shane is not in the mood. We need to show that there are things he longs for that their current arrangement cannot fulfill. But Ilya's here to scratch an itch, not to do emotional labor. He wields all the weapons he has in his armory to make Shane a needy mess. Insults, dirty talk, and poking Shane's wounds. And so, they do begin to do the deed. And I would suggest that Shane goes down on Ilya or something like that, because Ilya must again be able to boss Shane around and dominate him. Remember, this is all about Ilya and Ilya's flaw. Shane is just a collateral, but it must be worse than the last scene. So Ilya gets his happy ending, but when he proceeds to take care of Shane's needs, they are interrupted. And it must be awful and embarrassing. And it must be a cold tentacle straight from Russia that tears into their relationship. Ilya's conflict with his family. The thing he's still too scared to address. Breaking them apart. Leaving Shane even more vulnerable and unsatisfied than before. Half naked, half erect, shaking from the arousal, the fear of getting exposed, and the shame. Cold and alone. Not fitting in with the world beyond that door, and even in the secret cocoon that was their affair. Abandoned, used, like a handkerchief, unfolded, exposed, and scrunched up, and thrown away. Left behind in an anonymous public restroom. Ouch. Yeah, these times are over.
I will not leave you like that. No? No.
It is this scene, but without the meeting after. But don't worry, this is just Shane's main antagonist forcing him to finally find the courage to accept who he is and to stand up for himself.
Never.
Plus, we will not keep him lonely and abandoned for long. There is already a sidekick waiting in the wings to lift him up. One Miss Rose Landry. Oh, Rose. For a woman in a male-male romance, she was okay-ish. She wasn't just a piece of meat to show that our main lead also sleeps with women, nor an evil bitch. But ultimately, she wasn't particularly handled well either. I mean, she was completely inconsequential to anything that was going on. You could cut her out and nothing would change. But I don't accept that. She will be our Obi-Wan Kenobi, whose wisdom will reverberate through the whole narrative, inspiring change and growth in our protagonists, even long after she has been gone.
Use the Force, Luke.
And you could have all the things that are about to happen stretch out over a longer period of time, but I like me a unity of time and place, so everything will go down on that particular ill-fated evening. So Shane stumbles out of his dark night of the soul, ready to crawl home and cry himself to sleep. But there she is, building him up. I want her to be like a third door that suddenly opens. In between these two ways of being, ways of life that we were shown earlier. She's a contrast to all of this. Like, she's a laid-back, artsy, free spirit, a celebrity in her own right. She has, on the one hand, nothing in common with the wives of the other players, their houses, with their babies. She has queer friends, does wacky movies, and knows about hockey. She might not belong in this place either. Like, they can do wacky stuff that people are confused about. But also, and most importantly, she gives Shane the things that current Ilya cannot. She's genuinely interested in Shane, and with her, he can goof around in public, dance, talk, and touch. No secrets, no angst, no baggage, no putting up a front, no playing games. And he realizes that this is what he wants from a relationship, what he needs. And he wants so badly for her to be the one. So we see them enter an apartment and a bed. And unlike Justin Tierney in the show, we are not going to cut away. Because what happened to this?
So we're watching a story being told through sex.
I just cannot understand how the sex scenes are handled beyond episode 2. Why are we not being shown how the sex between him and Rose went? Why are we only being told?
Listen, about last night,
It's fine.
I think this season is stressing me out more than usual.
This is a pivotal character moment. A situation in which our main character cannot hide anymore from who he is, in which he has to face that this is not the path for him to walk, even if the other one is still too scary. But this could also have been an opportunity to show the contrast to sex with Ilya. Like, maybe it isn't just the fact that she's a woman that doesn't suit Shane. Maybe he likes being bossed around.
Get on your knees. Now get on the bed. Touch yourself.
And now that he has to take the lead, it feels wrong, which would reinforce that his chemistry with Ilya is perfect for him and that they would make a great team if only they could sort the emotional stuff out. Either way, we should see all of this. We should see his face, see his struggle to play that role everyone chose for him, and the fear and the shame and confusion when he cannot. The bad excuses mixed with the longing to finally come clean to someone. We should see it here right away that she confronts him. When they're both half naked, literally and metaphorically, and to understand and support him when he comes out at last. And to tie her into our main romantic conflict, they should talk about Ilya. Is there someone? Rose asks him. And then, why are we here then? And I would want him to say his need out loud. Like, because I guess, for once, I wanted it the way it should be. Not hidden away. I want him to say the whole list, all the things he wants from the person he is with. I want to talk. I want to spend time in public, and I want to spend the night and wake up next to them. And I want more than sex and then skittle away in the dark like a cockroach before the light is switched on. But you and him, you could talk. Come on, Shane, be honest. I don't know if he's the type for this. Shane sighs. Plus, here's other things going on. More important than you? More important than me. Then why are you still with him? Rose is relentless. Shane tries to lighten the mood, but then he has to face it. His flaw. The thing that holds him back. And I guess, he says, it's nice to have at least one other person who knows who you really are. It's kind of lonely and dark in there. In the secret. And when he's gone, I feel like I would be all alone. But she's not only here to torture him. She's here to deliver the truth. The theme that will kickstart the change in Shane and Ilya that they need both for themselves and for the other.
Use the Force, Luke.
And this could be a lot of things, but I think that the narrative particularly hints at one thing both Ilya and Shane have to learn. I think the problem is not if he loves you or not, she says, but if you love yourself enough to stand up for yourself. How can he love you when you do not give him the chance to see who you are? When you do not tell him what you need out of fear? But Shane is not the whole way there, of course. But what if he doesn't like it and leaves? He asks. Well, it's not only you and him in the secret anymore, right? I'm here too now, she says. And if you allow me to stay, no matter how he reacts, you will never be alone anymore. And now tell me this isn't more cathartic than this.
The thing is, I kind of prefer being the hole rather than the peg.
And just like in the show, they stay friends. They hit the scene and get photographed. And Ilya is fuming. Partly because he is in love with Shane, but still partly because he lost access to his favorite toy. So when, like in the show, they end up in the same club, he pulls the same immature stunt. But unlike OG Shane, improved Shane will not just stand there and look like a wounded dog. Improved Shane got the pep talk from an ally and is empowered by the wisdom of self-love and self-respect and has none of these juvenile shenanigans. He drags Ilya into a restroom again, but this time he's in control. However, the conflict is still on the rise, so Ilya will not be receptive yet. And I like that in the show, the switch from using surname to given name was used as a plot point. It was a nice symbol for how the relationship entered a new stage. But it happened so unceremoniously. Like, what was the catalyst for Ilya to do that? That they watched TV and talked about their favorite cities?
Toronto, Winnipeg.
Ugh, so boring. There was no conflict. Bad! I'd like to repurpose it here, but to show how differently they look at their relationship as of now. So Shane confronts him. And Ilya's like, wah wah, your girlfriend. But Shane has no need to pretend, which completely blows Ilya's mind. Then this doesn't make any sense. Why are you ignoring me, Hollander? He says. But he doesn't even wait for an answer. It means he might get lucky tonight after all, and he begins his usual shtick, trying to turn Shane on. And Shane is not made of stone. He has a weak moment. Ilya's just so hot, but then he sobers up. No, stop this shit, Rozanow, he says. I'm not going to do this anymore. And pushes Ilya away. And Shane is so rattled by his desire and confused, he mumbles the theme. Because it's not going to work, he stammers almost to himself. If I don't love myself enough to show you who I am and what I need to love myself enough. That rattles Ilya to no end. What? Are you high? He asks. No one is talking about love, Hollander, he almost shouts. And Shane, it sobered him up completely. I am, he says. Ilya. Ilya catches himself. He speaks softer now, but he's so frustrated, he talks through almost gritted teeth. What is this about? And Shane speaks up. Cue Hudson Williams' beautiful, expressive, weepy-eyed, vulnerable face. I don't want to sneak out of hotel rooms and restrooms anymore. I want us to talk. I want to talk to you about how your day went. But we can't have Ilya cave in yet. This is not what he came for. But Shane stands his ground. And Ilya is finally at his limits. Damn it, Hollander, he screams. What do you want from me? And all calm, Shane is ready to draw a line in the sand. I want you to spend the summer with me in my cottage, he says. I want you to stay the night. I want you to wake up next to me. And we know that Ilya has his reasons why that is the last thing he can do. But he can't have Shane know. Not yet. And so Shane thinks he knows everything there is to know. And leaves. And Ilya's voice is so low and weak, you almost cannot hear it. because it has to carry not only through the room he's in, but deep down from the prison he's not ready to break out of yet. Unlike Shane, the prison of his flaw. How about that for an escalation? But no worries, we reached the critical mass. From now on, Ilya will start to come around. And as in the show, we will send him to Russia to confront his antagonist and overcome his flaw. And we will have the plot beat of Ilya venting all of his negative emotions to Shane in Russian. It was cute. But as I said, I would have preferred for Shane to play a bigger role in all of this. I want Shane to be emotionally present throughout. Remember, the last thing he told Ilya was, say something, share your emotions with me. And Ilya was not ready yet. So I would start with that. Shane has heard that Ilya is in Russia and senses that something bad must have happened. We see him thinking about texting, but he hesitates. It would only be more of the same after all, he thinks. He has made his decision in the last scene. Cut to Ilya staring at his phone among the funeral guests. It's Shane's and his last texts he's looking at. Is he also pondering to write him? And even if not, it shows that in this moment of need, Shane is the one he thinks about turning to. Even when using sex to numb the pain isn't an option, which is a step in the right direction, but it still would take more courage than he currently has. Enter brother to push him over the edge. And Ilya does resist. He is fed up. But I want the brother to still triumph with a low blow. Something like, oh brother, you do not only owe me for a dad. All my life I took a backseat for you to have your stupid career. All of us. It was all about Ilya. Ilya and his hockey. We all gave up everything for you. Dad, me, and especially Mom. Until she couldn't do it anymore. I know it does not make 100% sense, but something like that. And Ilya freaks out. He grabs his brother, but he is still speechless for all the anger and pain. Someone stops the brawl. Ilya runs outside. He pulls up his and Shane's texts again. And there it is. He calls Shane. And he still cannot speak. Shane only hears him breathing, but he understands. He's still too close, too much. Ilya's still too afraid. And Shane tells him to just say everything in Russian. And Ilya does. Just like in the show, all the repressed feelings he had about his mom, his father and brother, and Shane, he lets them flow. And ends with, "Я люблю тебя." I love you in Russian. And remember the newspaper article? Shane knows what it means. And he tells him, whatever you're going through, don't make decisions based on fear. Especially if it is about the people in your life, the people close to you. There cannot be love when there is fear. And you deserve to be without fear. And armed with that, Ilya finally confronts his brother and makes the speech he gave in the show. Cutting him off once and for all. And I want brother to still throw some insults, some threat at Ilya in the last-ditch effort to turn the tables, because this was solved a little too cleanly in the show. I want him to still be a threat, And Ilya's still vulnerable to make all that he's going to do even more brave. If you cut me off, brother screams, I'm going to tell everyone what you are. Do you think I don't know what you did with Sasha? Meaning, I'm going to out you. And Ilya is shocked, and he has no idea if his brother would go through with this. Something that would not only ruin his career, but could literally get him killed. But he has gone too far already. The only way is to march on. He cannot have his life be dictated by fear. When his brother has stormed out, he grabs his phone and asks, "Can I still come to the cottage?" I like this so much more than someone totally irrelevant coming out publicly to trigger this decision. Because ultimately, what does having an out player to do with spending the summer together? It was not the fear of being found out that held Ilya back, but the fear of falling too hard for Shane. It makes no sense. Plus, it never comes up again.
And maybe one day when we both retire, we could be together.
And again, the whole sequence until Dad gives his jump scare is devoid of any conflict.
Why are you making so many burgers?
The recipe was for 8, so...
Okay, you cut it in half. What, you can't do math?
Leave me alone.
No.
Okay, fine, I should have cut it in half.
They were so boring. It was like watching an old married couple on their holidays. Like 10 minutes longer and someone would have pulled out a crossword or a jigsaw puzzle. Massive, massive yawn. So in this version, nothing is settled yet. We still have conflict. And even more interestingly, the scale points to Shane this time. This time he's in power. I want for Ilya to be the one that has to turn up at Shane's doorstep like it was a walk to Canossa. He has nothing anymore. No one in Russia. His brother can out him at any moment, and he knows what a shitty boyfriend he has been. Like, yeah, what if Shane does not forgive him? For once in his life, I want Ilya to be scared shitless by Shane. I want him to enter the cottage unsure about what to do, what to say, where to put his shoes. And maybe this is overkill and a little too sadistic, because Shane is a good guy. But I want Ilya to make some amends. And in Into the Woods, John York proposes that the really good stories are built symmetrically, so that the beginning mirrors the end. And we are at the end of Act 2, so I feel like it would be fitting to evoke the scene that marked the beginning of their fallout.
Now take off your clothes. Now get on the bed. Touch yourself.
What?
Show off for me, I want to watch you.
Yes. And if anyone will ever see this, probably not. Please tell me if it is too much or out of character. But I want Shane to tell Ilya the exact same things Ilya said to him. And just like Ilya did, I want him to sit on the other end of the room, watching an exposed, vulnerable Ilya. And Ilya plays along. He has to. He's the one in need now, the desperate one. But there is nothing sexy about this. He gets it now. How he made Shane feel back then, until it washes over him. The shame, the fear of not being forgiven, of feeling all alone. That is the moment I want him to break down. crying. Because that is what Shane had wanted from him the whole time, to share his emotions. And when he finally does, Shane does not lose any time. He urges to the bed, scared that he's gone too far, hugging Ilya. Letting him purge years of suppressed pain. I loved a similar scene in The Novelist because how cathartic. And there is no need for words. In fact, I want for Ilya to still not say anything. I thought his telling Shane about his mom came way too sudden. Every tiny information should be a big deal for him. But we could not have any conflict at the cottage, so no. My Ilya would only bawl and hug so tightly, cry everything out. In fact, I would have him cry so much that he would fall asleep eventually. Maybe he came straight from Russia. He could have a jet lag. They both fall asleep in each other's arms, exhausted. And maybe when they wake up, it is dark and still. They do not talk. It's still all too raw to talk. But they're so close. Ugh. And the yearning, it has been months since they saw each other. Yes.
Sex is the language of this show. So we're watching a story being told for sex.
How? Why? Justin, tell me. Why was there, when episode 1 and 2 were so brimful of plot and character relevant makeout scenes, only one intimate scene in the whole Cottage episode? One scene of them doing it as a real couple from start to finish? And why was this one intimate scene not used to show how they make out after having told each other that they love each other, but used to make a joke?
Sorry, man, I just have to run. Someone's at the door.
If sex is how they communicate with each other, just like you told me, how do we not see in episode 4 to 6 how all these big emotional changes influence their lovemaking? This is just baffling to me. Yeah, let's go through them one by one to show you the whole extent of this show's complete romantic and narrative fall from grace. Episode 4. The first montage could refer to the tense character-defining encounter they had had. It didn't. It's just snippets to show that time passes and that they still bone. It's fine. Tuna melt. Nothing happens in the first NC scene. No build-up, no talking, no conflict, no back and forth. It's just, look, they have sex. Then, hard cut to this. Ilya's going to ask Shane to stay the night. I don't know why this conversation could not have organically evolved out of the sex scene, but I guess someone thought that a cool backside shot was more important than an emotional arc. Second tuna melt scene. After them having bonded over...
What's your favorite city to play in?
They call each other by their first name.
Fuck, Shane.
Ilya.
Which is an escalation. I'll give them that. As I said, Rose and Shane is off screen, so... Episode 5, on the beach. Shane finally declares his love and Ilya opens up about his troubled childhood and family life, basically catapulting them into the next dimension of intimacy and partnership. How does this affect the way they bone? Are they going to be more timid, more passionate? How do you go from holding each other, comforting each other, to sex? What could this say about them? What new information could we glean? I mean, did Ilya initiate it? to regain some form of control? Or was it Shane to reassure Ilya that even in a committed relationship, even after knowing his demons, he still desires him? So much opportunity to characterize. Oh, never mind. Oh no, you dirty little sucker for erotic character development. We have shown you enough. Literally, this is what it feels like. In the cottage, we get all these little goalposts of commitment, like being exclusive, making plans for a future together, and it's always cut, 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 chop, chop, chop. Unless, yeah, it is to make a joke. Yet, I'm not laughing. This is tragic. Were episode 1 and 2 a mere fluke? Were the writers suddenly ashamed or disinterested in the characters and their relationship? I'm going to rectify that. I would show them making out from beginning to end. And it would be a scene that would be different from all the makeout scenes that came before. Because they are not the same people they were before. It would have an Ilya that has never been so vulnerable and tentative in his life. And they have not talked yet. He still doesn't know if he was forgiven fully. I would want to have him so at a loss and insecure indeed that he barely dares to make a move. Although it is perfectly visible how much he wants it. And I would want Shane to see it and take the lead. So it would be very cautious in the beginning, explorative, to see what has changed and what did not. And then when Ilya realizes that he is still allowed access to Shane and Shane's body, it would become clingy, desperate, and angsty. I would have Ilya hold Shane so tightly, as if the moment he would not have his arms around Shane's body, it might disappear. There still would be no words, except for one, in the final climactic moment. And I think we were also betrayed of another important moment. Waking up in the morning next to the other. In the show, it was just after an afternoon nap and not given any weight.
I'm hungry.
I want to see the confusion of waking up, the realization about where you are, a place you've never been before, and this feeling of, oh my God, I cannot believe that I'm given this incredible privilege of seeing the man I love so close, so vulnerable. A gift I don't know if I'm even worthy of. And I would want Ilya to still be insecure and tentative and have Shane, I don't know, make a Cinderella joke to lighten the mood. And then maybe when they are outside drinking their coffee and looking at the lake, it is that they would finally talk. But the things that Shane had wanted them to talk about. And this could be the moment that both acknowledge how weird that is, and finally Ilya could make a joke and they would laugh, and then they would kiss the first time in broad daylight. And it would be at that moment that Dad would pop up. So, there's not much to say about the coming out scene except that it was like any other scene beyond episode 2, devoid of character revealing moments for either Shane or Ilya. And again, this might be a question of taste. Maybe it's because I love angst in my romance, because isn't love the most exhilarating and fear-inducing thing ever? So I did not appreciate that Ilya came off as either totally nonchalant or stupid.
Lovers. No, Ilya, that's gross.
I think this was because Ilya's development was done with since, I would argue, the beach. Because going to the cottage, what did this even mean for his character?
Will you come to my cottage this summer? Don't go to Russia. Come to my house. We'll have so much fun. It's so private. No one will know.
Wonder you know we can't do that.
We could have a week or even 2. Be completely alone together.
Maybe.
So random. My Ilya is just getting started to show his beautiful new self. And in a way, I like that they have to deal with Shane's parents now, random as it may be, because it changes the power balance between them yet again. It is Shane who has the crisis now, and it must be awful for him. It's not only scary for him, but also he let this happen. He endangered Ilya, and Ilya has just come around to trying a domestic, monogamous life. Having to deal with the in-laws right away? Ugh, it might scare him away. It's a great opportunity to show Ilya's growth. When he tells a panicked Shane, yes, he will come with him to face them. And then when Shane's parents ask them, what are you two? What is your relationship? I mean, how can Shane say anything? In my version, they did not have the chance to even talk about it. Now imagine if it was Ilya who talked. A little shy still, because it still feels weird being all emotional and vulnerable, but also calm and without shame or hesitation. I don't know what Shane would say, what we are. All I know is that I love your son, and that if he would let me, I would want to be with him for the rest of my life. And imagine that their whole plan would not have come out like this.
I have another idea. What if you played in Ottawa?
But like this. When Shane's parents would ask, how is this supposed to work? It would be Ilya who suddenly, out of nowhere, presents a perfectly reasonable, well thought out plan. Impulsive, playful, irresponsible Ilya. A plan so well thought out and reasonable that it's clear he must have thought about it for a long time. Showing Shane that Ilya is ready to be even more than he had wished for. So I would just fade out all of the talking of Shane's parents and Ilya and just zoom on Shane. Hudson Williams' teary-eyed, happy, confused, and grateful face. And if I could choose how to end it, I would have a shot similar to the one at the end of The Graduate. 2 people in the frame that do not know what the future brings, only that they will spend it together. No words, but other than in The Graduate, in which it is anxiety and doubt that seeps into their faces. For Shane and Ilya, it would be uncertainty first. There's still so many dangers for them ahead. But then we see bewilderment about how this could have happened. That they actually fell in love with their biggest rival. And a giddy happiness that this man turned out to be so much more lovable, decent, and supportive than they ever thought he would be.
Ever fallen in love with someone? Ever fallen in love with someone? Ever fallen in love with someone you shouldn't fall in love with?
If you enjoy analysis and rewrites like these, leave me a comment on what show or book you would want me to look into. And if you enjoyed this, I did a similar thing on Kin Porsche, Lovely Rider, and even Frozen. And please, you think I botched it? Do you still prefer the original and think I'm full of shit? Let's discuss. And take care.
Ever fallen in love with someone? Ever